Good morning, gamers. We are back again on this Tuesday morning with another roundup of news. Definitely not one of the most exciting pieces of news that we're going to be talking about this week, but nonetheless, it is some interesting stuff that I do want to go over with Microsoft confirming that Game Pass does cannibalize game sales. We're going to dive into that, talk about that a little bit. Dead Space making the charts, Forspoken making the charts, and going to talk a little bit about Forspoken specifically. I know I'm probably going to upset some people, but understand that it comes from a place of sincerity, not a malicious place at all. And lastly, we're going to be talking about Silksong. We've been waiting a long time for this game. I've got a little bit of an update for you guys there as well. Now, quickly, before we jump into all this, if you could do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, share the video. Helps the channel a ton, and it really does go a long way. Now, let's start with this Microsoft confirming that Game Pass cannibalizes game sales. So during a provisional report, some information came to light specifically about Microsoft and Game Pass. In quotes, Microsoft also submitted that its internal analysis shows a redacted % decline in base game sales 12 months following their addition on Game Pass. The CMA noted in its report that confirmation runs counter to what Xbox's Phil Spencer said back in 2018, where he said, in quotes, "When you put a game like Forza Horizon 4 on Game Pass, you instantly have more players of the game, which is actually leading to more sales of the game," Spencer said, adding, "You say, well, isn't everyone just going to subscribe for $10 and go play this thing?" But no, gamers find things to play based on what everybody else is playing. So pretty important there that, number one, originally Phil Spencer was saying that, hey, Game Pass led to more game sales, and it turns out, well, he may have not been saying the entire truth. Now, I think what he may have been referring to is that people were buying Ultimate Editions of Forza Horizon 4 in order to get the game early. Maybe that's what he was referring to, but clearly this is not a case. And again, this shouldn't surprise anybody because, yeah, if it's $10 to play a ton of games, including games that are going to be there at day one, why would you ever buy the full game? It just doesn't make sense when you could just pay for a subscription, get your time's worth in it, or complete the game, and then not have to look back. In the case of a multiplayer game, maybe then you can make a reason for it, but overall, in most cases, people are just going to spend the $10, play the game they want to play, get their fill, and then move on. So yeah, it really does make sense that, it is cannibalizing game sales. And we've obviously seen that across the board. It's kind of been obvious that that is the case. Now, further on, it does note a specific point by Activision, in quotes. Elsewhere in the CMA's report, it cites Microsoft as saying that Activision took a dim view on putting its titles into multi-game subscription services on any platform, believing that severely cannibalizes buy-to-play sales, particularly in the case of newer releases, which is, again, no surprise whatsoever. Of course, people are not going to buy a game when they can pay $10 to play it on a subscription, whether that be Game Pass, whether that be PlayStation Plus. It doesn't matter. People are not going to buy a game if it's, up there to play through a subscription service. And I know, like, somebody might be like, well, I buy the games, right? That's great. You buy the games, but majority of people are not. You're obviously going to have more sales. If the only way to play this game is through purchasing the title, yeah, you're going to get more sales than if it's on a subscription service. So it's interesting to me that, Phil Spencer said one thing, and it turns out that that's actually not the case. And it kind of makes me question a lot. We got to be fair that if Sony does something like this, that we keep them accountable. In this case, Xbox is doing this. We got to keep them accountable. I don't think that's a great thing, and it's not a great look for Phil Spencer. However he meant it, in what context, he wasn't being very clear. What he made people believe is that people buy more games because of Game Pass, which is clearly not the case. Clearly not the case because of this, right? And even if you look at other developers, and I had an interaction on Twitter with a developer who put their game on Game Pass, and they said, yeah, sales were high on every other platform except for Xbox. They're like, yeah, we did get a lot of sales still, but it wasn't selling like every other platform because the game was on Game Pass. So then again, showing you that it is just one of those cases where if the game is on a subscription, yeah, you're not going to sell units like you otherwise would. Now, next, I want to talk to you guys about the NPD charts, right? We got some games that have come up, and definitely want to address Forspoken and Dead Space on this chart, being that they're new releases. and quite interesting to say the least. So it looks like on the top 20 games, according to the NPD, number 2 is Dead Space. Clearly, nobody's taking COD at this point. And number 7 is Forspoken. And here's the thing, right? Dead Space, I'm not surprised by. It did well. Game reviewed well. A lot of people were excited about it. It's a remake of a very beloved game. Forspoken, a new IP from SE. And here's the thing, you know, I really, there's no nice way of saying this. 7, you know, being 7th for a new release is not a good thing. And nobody should be celebrating a 7th on a new release. No, you should not be 7th on a new release. Like, this is where, like, mass amount of sales would come through. You think that this is when you'd be at your best on a sales chart. So if you're at 7th already, boy, I am very nervous for them for February. Now, they could still be on the top 20 games for February. I wouldn't say that that's impossible, but it's not. It's just not a good look. It's really not a good look when you're seeing your game already at debut at a 7th on the top 20. So I do understand that there was a lot around this game, you know, a lot of memes, a lot of everything. Like, there was a lot of talk around this game, and a lot of it was negative. But honestly, as much as people like to try to say that it wasn't, like, deserved, it really was deserved, because to me, they dropped the ball. Luminous did not do a good job with this game. So, I mean, it is a matter of opinion. If you really love the game, good for you. That's great. Excellent. I'm not trying to take that away from you. Enjoy your game. But being 7th for your debut is not good. 7th is terrible. So we'll see what happens in February. I just don't have much hope for Forspoken, and I do think that it has been forgotten. I don't feel like it's going to be talked about in February. I don't even know if it'll make the top 20. It might, but I'm not holding my breath for it. I think that Square Enix is going to be very disappointed with the sales. I think Luminous is going to dissolve, or it's going to become a support studio for Square Enix. We'll see what happens, but yeah. Now, lastly, I want to talk to you guys about Silksong. Obviously, Silksong is a highly anticipated game. A lot of people excited for this and waiting very patiently. Well, we have an update for this game, and it's coming from, well, it's been spotted by @DailySilksong, and it is Trustworthy Greg, who is a lead playtester for Silksong on the Hollow Knight Discord server. So he had a comment to make, and we'll go over that. He says, "I feel for you all. I really want this game to release ASAP, and we testers are working hard to get it out to you, as well as TC, of course. It will come, and it is a glorious game worth the wait. Love you all." So very positive things all around, saying it's a great game. You know, it's what you would want to hear about a game that you're waiting for a very long time for. Who knows what's going to happen there? I mean, it's tough to say with this game. You know, it's been a while. We've been waiting a long time. It's highly anticipated. It's definitely going to be one of those games that I think a lot of people will be talking about. I do think it'll likely meet expectations, and I think that it's going to be a good game. At least I really hope so. If it's not a good game, then you'll definitely hear from me, as I clearly have very strong opinions when things are not that great, and also when things are very good. So I do play fair. I do play fair, in my opinion. Like, I really do feel like I play fair. When a game is great, I really praise it. When a game is not so great, you know, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be hard on those games. But Silksong, yeah, looking very positive. Hopefully we see more of this year. But we'll see what happens. I don't want to get my hopes up too high, because clearly we've been waiting a while for this one. But that is our daily wrap up. Now, obviously, there were a few things about PlayStation selling the best it ever has and all this great stuff. And yeah, you know, you kind of would hope that PlayStation would be selling the best it ever has when there's stock of it. So I really didn't think that to be a huge note of something to talk about. But yeah, if you really wanted to hear that, yes, PlayStation is selling better than it ever has, and it was definitely doing really well, as expected, when there's more stock of it. So great news all around in that regard. But yeah, that's kind of it for today. Let me know what you guys think of Microsoft confirming that Game Pass cannibalizes game sales. What do you think of this NPD chart with Dead Space at number 2, Forspoken at number 7? Do you think Forspoken under-delivered on the sales, or do you think that makes sense for Forspoken to be there? Let me know in the comments. I would love to have those conversations. And lastly, how do you feel about this Silksong update? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you have not subscribed already, please subscribe, like, share the video. Helps the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter. Link will be in the description. And I will talk to you all on the next one. Take care.